Mazes are odd. You want to go into one, but once you're in, the whole point is to find the way out. Odd. And if you're just entered, what would you think of somebody then immediately poking up his head from behind the next hedge and announcing that there's an exit right next to where you're standing? I'd feel a bit cheated. Mazes are fun. I want to stay in longer, get deeper into it before I find my way out. Where's the sense of achievement in getting out fast? I'm Alastair Pearce from Working with Creatives, the organisation that helps you work with your creative colleagues. And yes, I'll come back to mazes in a bit. But let's start with an easy question. Would it be good for your company if colleagues were more deeply creative, produced work yet more innovative, more exciting, and maybe more disruptive? This video, produced for HR professionals, recognises that creative colleagues are generally motivated by their work itself rather than external incentives such as promotion or a pay rise. I'm arguing that this insight is a key to deepening their creativity. I once told a colleague at work, "You know, I'd do this job even if I weren't paid for it." And I meant it. It was a creative job. I'd just been appointed to revive an ailing degree course at a university. I was lucky, the course could only get better. It needed some vision for what it could become, managerial skills in getting it there, and teaching skills energising the students. And I had just about enough of these skills to make it work. I also had a manager who gave me sufficient resources, time and trust to just let me get on with it. I loved it and jumped in 100%. I received no pay rise, no promotion, no car parking space, no office with a window I could actually open, no Employee of the Month award, and if somebody had suggested that I should get a few of these, I would have been genuinely puzzled. How would that be of any help? Indeed, they would simply have been unhelpful distractions from what I was loving doing. Experts in creativity call this blissful state I was then experiencing the maze. I didn't invent this metaphor, but it's really good at introducing what you should and shouldn't do if you want deep creativity and happy creatives. The big takeaway from this video is do not, as a manager, offer incentives that come from outside the maze. Creativity, just as in my example, is its own incentive. External, we call them extrinsic. External incentives tempt the creative to leave the maze at early, easy exits. Extrinsic incentives distract rather than encourage. Let me tell you 3 fictional comments from creatives who have just been in this metaphorical maze, having been asked to come up with an idea for a new product. Which of these 3 comments is likely to reflect the most deeply creative adventure in the maze? First creative says to herself, "Yeah, I got an okay idea. It'll do. At least I've made the deadline. That'll keep my boss quiet. It's a satisfactory idea. They won't sack me for coming up with that. Easy, quick too. Plenty of time for lunch. Where shall I go today?" The second creative says, "Yeah, good. And marketing should like it as well as my manager. I was thinking about marketing as I planned it. That really helped. Could be a bit over budget though, but it's worth it. So much better than our competitor's product. Yeah, good. Well done. Pudding with lunch today. I deserve it." The third creative says, "Great idea. So exciting. And I just loved feeling it kind of emerge in my mind. Never understood how that happens. Difficult to get it though. Took a long time, but so satisfying. Skipping lunch today. I want to think a bit more about my new idea." The last one is obviously likely to reflect the deepest creative experience in the maze and to have generated the creative's best idea, her deepest creativity. But why? Well, because the incentive for it came from the process of creativity itself, intrinsic, not extrinsic motivation. The first one said things like, "At least I've made the deadline. That'll keep my boss quiet. They won't sack me for coming up with that." All incentives coming from outside the creative process, extrinsic motivations. These criteria were quick and easy to achieve, and when duly achieved, the creative could justifiably leave the maze clutching her disappointingly bland idea. These extrinsic criteria all contrived to steer the creative to the quick, early, and superficial exit of the maze. The second creative probably achieved a deeper level of creativity. You remember some of her phrases? Yeah, good, and marketing should like it as well as my manager. I was thinking about marketing as I planned it. Could be a bit over budget though, but it's worth it and so much better than our competitor's project. Okay, this is likely to reflect a somewhat more deeply creative process than the first reaction, but there's still some worrying extrinsic motivation, such as marketing's needs and the manager's preference. The positive point that might signal deeper creativity is that she doesn't seem too worried about being over budget, justifying that by the quality of the idea itself. So that's intrinsic to the process of creativity, not extrinsic. The last creative, whose comments I recited, is really different. She used phrases like, so exciting, just love the feeling of it kind of emerge, difficult to get it though, so satisfying. Here there are no extrinsic motivation dragging her prematurely out of the creative maze. So much more chance of deep creativity because the easy-to-meet criteria of extrinsic motivation have been replaced by the infinite criteria of imagination. Early superficial exits have been blocked off, and the intrinsic motivation holds and inspires until her deep creativity is ready to pop out. So if all your company wants is predictable, mundane, and superficial creativity, then use external incentives with timescales, promotions, bonuses, and employee of the month. Such as, hey Fred, can you come up with a quick idea to follow up on our new bestseller, 101 Vegan Recipes? Got to be cheap though, and use the current design template. What do you think we should do? Okay, boss. How about another 101 vegan recipes? But if, on the other hand, you want deeper, innovative, perhaps disruptive creativity, avoid extrinsic motivators and allow your creative colleague to feed on creativity itself. Hey, Frederica, have you heard that 101 Vegan Recipes is selling well? Fred suggested we should go for a sequel, 101 more. Okay, boss. That would work, and if we printed it on rice paper, the book could be its own ingredient. Or perhaps 101 excuses to avoid vegan dinner parties? Look, I'll take some time and maybe come up with something. I'll shout if I do. It'll be fun. Do you ever do company trips away from the office? Perhaps a visit to a posh garden with a maze might be useful. Come to our website at workingwithcreatives.co.uk to find out how we can help.